right, welcome to the Blacktooth. Just a little adjust there. This is going to be the, I believe, the third video blog. And I'm going to actually talk about an issue that was in a recent editorial by my friend D. Carpenter from iEmpire. He did an editorial for us, and it's actually probably posted right below this. So read that. If you haven't read it, you should. It's very good, and we look forward to more content from him. So, thank you. But what I wanted to talk about are some specific things that he talked about in that editorial, and that's the shift. The shift from analog media, things like CDs and books, to everything being digital, downloadable, ready to go. As a journalist and a writer, I'm kind of in the same boat as musicians, in the sense that everything is going electronic, and people say things like the book and the CD are dying, and it's an unfortunate thing, but at the same time, it is really good, and that's kind of what DC talks about in his editorial. What's very important about it is the fact that we're seeing record labels die. As someone who's very much a grassroots supporter, we see that record labels turn into big corporations, big business, big company, and all they care about is money. They don't care about the music. They don't care about the artist, and they're one of those groups that really kind of ruin it for everybody. With that being said, too, there's a lot of empowerment. Like DC talks about, that goes to the artist now that they're able to produce their own music. Record labels have forever been a kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't type of thing, and I think it's great that they're starting to struggle and we're starting to get away from them. Granted, that's not saying that I want to see artists struggle, because that's quite the opposite. What is good about this is that the people who truly love their music and truly love what they do will now be working hard to succeed. And now that's not to say that they hadn't worked hard before, but before it was legal issues, before it was doing what somebody told you to do, and now it's turning into work hard for your music, live your legacy, and you will succeed. And that's hugely important. I think that's amazing that a band can truly determine how well they do by how hard they work and how good their music actually is. Now, granted, there's always going to be, the stupid whatever P Diddy, Britney Spears, you name it, commercial junk. It's always going to be there, but aside from that, those things are used for exactly that. It's a commercial content. It's that bland gray matter that just about anybody can chew up and kind of swallow. No one really likes it, but no one really hates it. Now, what happens with that is it becomes very boring, very drab. And what we're seeing now is as more and more kids get into digital media and get into making their own music, is they really are developing taste much sooner. And I can't say that it's always good, and there are still trends. Kids will always follow certain trends depending on their age group and that kind of thing. But what's really cool is that people can come into their own and without having to struggle to get there, and without having to spend tons and tons and tons of money. They can discover bands that they really like via streaming resources like YouTube and Pandora, and those resources are now becoming viable ways to purchase music. I'm somebody who absolutely supports being able to hear music before you get it, but beyond that, I'm always the one who buys an album to support the bands that I feel are truly quality, and I think that's really good. The other good part about that is then bands have this sense of ownership of their music. The music is no longer something that they produce for somebody else. It becomes that immediate connection between them and the audience. And DC kind of touches on that too in his editorial, on the fact that there is no longer this middleman. There's no longer this big separation, because bands have to go out and play live. Bands have to be there. They pay attention to their fans, and the fans are the ones who are going to make or break them, and I think bands are starting to realize that. Not that they haven't all along, but it's becoming a much more prominent piece to what's important in the recording industry and in the music industry in general. So I think it's great, and I think bands like I Empire and those guys are just, they're doing the right thing, making this a family and making this the empire, if you will. It's a community thing, and it definitely needs to keep going. And I think it's only going to grow from here. Like DC said, it's empowerment for the musicians and for the fans. So support your musicians, support the local musicians, support the national people, and make sure you get out and see shows, because that's the best way to really show who you are and what you represent for your bands and for your musicians. So with that, we'll see you soon, and keep it heavy, guys.